Earlier, we saw how Oracle Integration Cloud enabled bidirectional synchronization between Salesforce and NetSuite. Now let's take a look at the integration that made that possible. To build the integration, I navigate to the Integration Cloud Designer, and then to Connections. To create the NetSuite connection, I provide the WSDL URL and the information needed to connect to the NetSuite account, including the username and password. I also supply other information, which sandbox or which production box it's connecting to, and the role and the application ID. Once I provide that information, I test the connection. When I see the success message, I save my work, and I'm done with the NetSuite connection. I create the Salesforce connection in a similar way. I provide the enterprise WSDL and the username and password. When the values have been provided, I test the connection. If all the information provided is correct, I see the success message and I save my work. Once the connections are defined, I create the integration itself. The integration starts with a Salesforce.com trigger activity. This receives the event that comes from Salesforce when we save an opportunity and the opportunity status is closed and won. Let me show you how I configured this endpoint. As a trigger, the Salesforce adapter is based on outbound messages from Salesforce. After I define the outbound message in Salesforce, I generate the outbound message WSDL there. Then I upload the WSDL here. Next, I can define a response if one is required. In this example, after successful sales order creation, I want to update Salesforce.com with the sales order number. To do that, I select the Update operation and the Opportunity business object in Successful Callback configuration. I click Next. The Summary tab lists tasks that still need to be done. I can collapse the list if I want. I review the summary of the choices I've selected, and I click Done. Next, I want to invoke the Salesforce adapter. I drag and drop it from the Invoke list on the right. In this scenario, we're extracting information that we need to create the sales order in NetSuite from Salesforce.com. To do that, I define a query to extract information from Salesforce.com, like account name and ID, product name and code, and quantity order based on the opportunity ID. When the query is complete, I click Next until I reach the summary page. I review my work and click Done. Next, I define the mapping between the Salesforce trigger and the Salesforce query operation. I need to provide the Salesforce opportunity ID to the query, so I assign the opportunity ID from the trigger to the invoke. I've defined the trigger and the invoke to retrieve the opportunity information from Salesforce. Now I want to create the new sales order in NetSuite. To do that, I invoke the NetSuite adapter. I select the Add operation and the sales order business object. When I click Next, I reach the summary page. I review my choices and click Done. Now I need to map the information that I got from Salesforce.com to NetSuite. When I set the filter to show just the mapped fields, I see the fields that are mapped from the left-hand side to the right-hand side to create an order. I see sales information, including the sales order ID, the currency information, and the order status. I also see the item list detail, including the product name, ID, and quantity. Finally, I need to complete the mapping to the callback, which will send the NetSuite sales order number back to Salesforce.com. When I set the filter to show just the mapped fields, I see that there's two fields mapped. The first is the Salesforce ID, which indicates which opportunity to update. The second is the NetSuite sales order ID, which is the value I want to add to the Salesforce opportunity. With the mapping complete, I save and close my integration. Then I activate it. When I refresh the display, I see that the integration is activated and is talking to both Salesforce and NetSuite. Learn more at cloud.oracle.com.